welcome
to the identity thief.
Yeah, imagine going about your entire life being possessed, taken away from your true identity and subscribing to another identity and believing that you are this throughout your entire life, and then you die and realise you never could be it. And then because of this, you respawn again into this life through the wheel of samsara, and you have to begin it all over again.
Ask yourself now, what makes you you? Like, what is your identity? So right now you feel like you are something, somebody, but what is it that this consists of? Because I'm sure it can't be your body, because if you used to lose an arm, then you wouldn't lose a part of yourself. You'd still feel like you were there. If you lose your sight, there's still existence. So it's not the fact that you can see.
Yeah, it's not in the realm of senses.
Yeah.
If you lose your smell, your hearing, your taste, whatever it is, there is still something going on. If you lose your arm, you don't have part of yourself in the arm and part of yourself here. Whatever it is, there's something beyond this.
There's something that seems to not disappear. Like, no matter what we do, if you close your eyes now and sit in silence for a few minutes and try to just get beyond your thoughts, there is something that you will find that you just could not ever get away from. And even if you tried, you just can't. Tried it. Something there that you can't get away from.
Yeah, once everything else dissolves around us, you lose sensation of your body, the thoughts fade away. The smell, there's nothing to smell, and you're so much in this dimension of nothingness that you're not even hearing anything either. But there's still something which remains.
But the identity thief is our everyday functioning in this world ego, which is created at birth, which we are lost in and identify as all that is and all that we are, this mortal being that's going to die and that's going to be the end. Yeah, it's stolen our identity, and we're fully allowed this to happen.
The way to describe this is almost like you've put on a VR headset at birth, and because you've now been in this VR headset for however long your lifespan is, you've been in it for such a length of time that you've completely identified as the character going through the VR reality. But if you took that off, you would realise that there was just something completely beyond it. But because you just don't know how to get this off, it's been glued on for such a long time now, you can't see past it. And inside of this VR is the dualistic world we live in. It is the world of the good, the bad, the pretty and the ugly, the black, the white, the yin yang, up, down, all of these different dualities. This is the world we live in. Even our language is completely based on dualistic concepts.
Anything that the mind creates is in dualism. So any single thought you have, you're in the wrong place. So at birth, we always use this idea, but there's nothing at birth. When a newborn baby is complete awareness, there's no attachment or anything, there's no identification. We don't start reacting to name until we're so programmed by repetitive patterns from the mother, a trusting figure in security for the baby. But before all of this, we have no name, we have no idea of the world or anything like that. We're just an animal basically that's just in a world, and this is our natural state. But we add all these ideas to ourselves and all these stories, and we get lost in this story of who we actually are, and everything was being given to us from this young baby innocent growing up. All these ideas given attachments, identifications, all given, and then we get lost in that and forget who we are.
Yeah, as you start to experience this, it becomes a subject-object split. And through language, you start identifying things. You're like TV, speaker, light, camera, whatever it may be. You start to identify it and you make yourself separate to it. So you start to do that with people. And in your own like little separate world, you experience your own thoughts and different things like that, which separates you, and you say, I'm me, Bill is Bill, and there's this separation factor, and you're separated from everything, and you become the center of your own little universe, separated.
We seem to take it on face value that there is an actual world that exists out there, independent of us, but we seem to forget that nobody ever could ever ask somebody experience anything if it wasn't through their senses.
Yeah.
Nobody could experience anything that you've ever seen is because you can see it, being you. Touch, you are touching any object is only, there's the senses creating this through you. It's not, nobody's ever found anything independent of anyone, because it always needs observation to create it. So this might sound a bit crazy, but scientists, you know, like their experiments and everything like this, there's always an observer that's
changing the outcome of the experiment.
Yeah, so however far they go, that they need to return to who is actually the observer of any of this.
They're always looking for something external to their self, but the one thing they're looking for is the thing which is actually observing the experiment. They're looking for something alien to themselves when it's actually themselves, the observer, that they're actually searching for. It's the Tao, the way of things. Everything works cohesively together. You can't, I'm doing that, so this is happening. Everything works codependently. Without one, there could not be the other. It is all one.
But yeah, with the sciences as well, that we are seem to be forgetting that there's an actual conscious agent that's observing the experiment, and without that, that experiment could never happen, could it? There's no one to have it. It's just a quantum field of possibilities and nothing happening. This is what they actually find.
Yeah.
They find this. Like, this world would not, it's just quantum field.
Yeah.
And with the organism of the senses bring into being the world.
Because even on a physical level, once you break down even the atom, you realise there's just waveforms of probability. There is no actual physicalness. The atom itself, the most minute, is 99.9999% empty space. You break that down further, it's just probability waves. And we bring this probability waves into existence through our sight. We bring it to life. Through us, this world can be and can exist. But it can't exist separate from us, or not necessarily humans, but without a translator to observe and bring it to life. It ceases to exist. It's just pure empty space. This is Maya, the illusion of the world we are in. It's not here.
No, neither are we.
Yeah, so we're bringing all of this into translation. Without the sight, I could not be here as this human being to exist. And that's where the identity thief comes into this, because all that is thought concepts identified with, layered on top of illusion. But there is something beyond all of this, observing. Whether my arm gets sawn off, whether I get nuclear blasted, whether I am making love, whether I am happy, sad, there is always something unchangeable, something experiencing this.
Because we're so caught up in this physicalness, we make everything seem so real and matter and have meaning, because we're scared that none of it has a meaning. We don't. So if he gets blown, his face gets blown up, and then I'm sitting here now like it's just stuff happening, then it just sounds horrendous for the mortal human. When that's alright, but the reality is, underneath it, we are immortal. We are eternal beings, multi-dimensional. We're existing in every time.
Everything.
Past, future. We're there and we are through it all, because there's no character. Like, stop identifying with the limited character, the personality, the name. Like, oh, I'm Billy and I have an age and I'm growing through this body. The body's not mine, there's no me.
How could this ever be real? It's impermanent. It rises, it falls, it's born, it dies. It is not permanent. Through the pain, the suffering, the joy, the lovemaking, everything continues to be the same for the observer. So even through the birth and death, there is something which lives eternally. And that thing that lives eternally is it.
Business.
It just is. So there is something observing, consciousness observing, but also everything. So it's not separate to it. It's not the subject object anymore. Our minds cannot understand this. As we mentioned, our minds are in the dualistic mindset, but this is non-duality. This is, it just is. The observer is experiencing all of this, the birth, the death, everything is observed and just is. Just, there is no one to observe it, no individual. This is just sparks and ripples of the vast deep ocean of what you actually are. You are the deep ocean, and there's just ripples happening on the surface. There's just birth and death, but you're the ocean underneath all of it, the eternal being, manifesting, incarnating into different forms for experience before you return to this wholeness of what you are.
That's the one job that we have here as well, is to wake up to our true self, our true nature. So we might respawn, have many lifetimes until we remember what we actually are. And it's happening. People are waking up, and it will happen. It might not happen. A lot of people might be watching this thinking, but maybe in a few hundred years time this video could come in handy as you're on your spaceship somewhere and
or maybe 10 years or whatever, it might click, like even in this life. Some people just aren't ready for this information, they're just too far out, but that's okay. Everyone will eventually return back home, but we need to, if you are watching this, you're into Advaita, Vedanta or Buddhism or whatever, and you want to reach Nirvana, Brahman, Buddha nature, like whatever, you want to reach Christ consciousness, you have to stop living in ignorance as this separate mortal being and open up to what you actually are, the all.
Simple is you as a person, as a character, an ego, all is illusion. None of this exists. Go beyond it, pure, empty awareness. So none of this is belonging to anybody. There's nobody for any of this to belong to. The anger that you may feel, it doesn't belong to you. It's just an appearance on a sheet. It's just a happening that is happening. Like, doesn't belong to you. This is where the problem is that we take everything as a person. This is
mine. This is me.
We claim everything and we take it as a personal problem that we need to, as an individual, try and figure out and try to come to some form of conclusion. The hardest thing about this is there's nothing to achieve, nothing you can get done, and even enlightenment cannot be achieved by anybody, because it's the natural state of what you actually are. So if you're now trying to be enlightened, you cannot be. So
because the ego can never reach enlightenment, because the self of what you thought you was that would reach enlightenment just dissolves altogether.
So there's no bliss for nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
You do not exist. Neither do we.
We're just talking to ourselves right now. Even what we're saying, you can't grasp and hold on to what we're saying. Don't try and hold on and adopt and believe this, because this is pointing beyond. This isn't the finger which is pointing at the moon. We're pointing beyond the finger. This is going into a direction where words can't take you, because as we said, they're living in dualism. So this is pointing completely beyond what we're saying. This is signposts. Don't take the signpost. Just follow the road and just dissolve into the no thing.
Yeah, never make sense of any of this. You couldn't. If you're trying to make sense of it, you're in the wrong place. Just be. Many books say it. just be. Try to forget and surrender to everything you think you need to know and everything you already do know. This isn't about acquiring more knowledge and wisdom. This is about emptying yourself from all of the illusion that people have put on you and you have put on yourself.
Yeah.
Empty out. And what are you left with is what you are.
Yeah. What are you left with? Go deep. What is experiencing the pain? What is experiencing the taste? What is experiencing the feeling? What is experiencing the quietness? What is experiencing all of this? And just sit and self-inquire into this nothingness. And then you'll realise, hopefully, that you just never was.
And always was.
Yeah, never was and always was. It's eternal. There's no beginning or end. It's eternal.
There's no character.
So stop being identified with the thief that has taken you over and wake up from the ignorance. We love you.
Namaste.
Namaste.